Welcome to my studio, Create with Chris. I'm Chris Haughey. Today we're talking about the unsung heroes of painted designs, filler leaves. They add drama, whimsy, refinement, and while they may look like they took hours to paint, you're going to see just how quick and easy they really are. I'll show you not one, but 3 different styles of leafy branches that are fast, fun, and absolutely fantastic. They will instantly elevate any project, and if you watch to the end, I have a bonus touch that you don't want to miss. So grab your brushes and let's get started. This is my number 5 radical round. It has a beautiful sharp point on the tip and fat belly that holds paint nicely. Just going to start with creating a few simple leaves. I like the leaves to be more than just one color. It creates interest. Also, it allows the paint to be applied very quickly, and I think you get better results than trying to paint one color shade and highlight. So I've dipped my brush one side in plantation pine, the other side in foliage green. I'm going to hold it so the plantation pine is on the left and the foliage green is on the right. And you can see I'm just kind of touching and pressing down to create an oval shape, just touching the brush down and pressing. The harder the press, the fatter the leaves, but look how the paint blends, creates such interest. It looks absolutely fantastic. I'm going to create the center branch, and I'm using raw umber and just staying on the tip of my brush. Going back and double loading it. Now if the paint is too thick and heavy on the tip, you can touch it on your palette just to kind of lift some of that excess paint on. And I just double load and make sure to keep that dark paint. I keep it toward the left or the bottom side of the branch. Just press and touch and press. Reload often. If the paint becomes too muddied or mixed on the brush, simply rinse the brush out and start over. Now you don't want excess moisture in the brush. The paint is pretty pure, which means that I don't thin it down. I'm allowing just that touch and press to create that beautiful rounded shape. And you can see how quickly these leaves can be created with just a little bit of pressure. Once you get the hang of it, you can boom, boom, boom right down the branch. This looks pretty nice, but I'm going back with this is the 20-aught Epic Script Liner, just connecting the leaves to the branch with plantation pine. I like a little bit of a curve on that. I don't want them to go straight out. And I think that just gives a little more fluidity to that branch. And the branch can be just about any curve. And the leaves, just keep them just not going straight out. Stay on the tip of the brush and just pull that up into the leaf and connect that very quickly. Or if the brush starts to drag, you need more paint on the brush and more moisture. This looks pretty good, but wait, there's more. Need to add just a little more color and interest, and this is optional, but this makes such a difference. Picked up celery shoot, and I'm just pulling a little bit of a highlight across the top of the leaves. And you look at this, it just really brings those leaves to light, brightens them up. Now we're starting to add a lot of that look of intricate design. And this is not fussy painting, it's just a little stroke, a little stroke, a little stroke. And the leaves do not have to be identical. In fact, if they're not identical, I think that just makes them a little more interesting and lifelike. Now I'm going in with just a hint of aqua sky, adding this little touch of color, and this is thinned out just a little bit, so it's not straight, strong color. It's just going to add a hint of coolness in that shadow area, tones those leaves down, but wow, what a difference that little bit of paint will make. Once all these colors are added, and again, it's not time consuming, it's just a touch and a pull, a touch and a pull. And look how nice that looks. These are the leaves on some of the pieces that I've painted. You can see what a difference that makes, how those colors just really resonate and fill that in. The second leaf I'm going to do is a press, pull, and a lift, and that's going to create a rounded base on the leaf and a tiny point at the tip. Now, if you have trouble with the brush not creating that point, just give it a little twist as you lift and pull out that point. So I did double load the brush. I'm keeping that plantation pine more or less on the left side as I pull these leaves out. And these leaves will not be identical, but I think that gives them such a great personality. Allow that little point to kind of flip out on the end. Slow down when you do this. It doesn't have to be nice and fast just because they're quick. Still maintain good control on the brush. Press, pull out to a tip, press and pull out to a tip. And you can see how I can walk down this branch very quickly. Keep an eye on the amount of paint on the brush. And the pressure is so key. If the pressure varies when you're press down and pull up, your leaves will vary in size as well. Look at that. We just pop that out in no time flat. Doing the same, connecting the leaves to the stem as we did on the oval leaves, just pulling it up and giving a little bit of a curve. And look how much better that looks than if I would have pulled it straight out from the branch. The size of the brush also will affect the size of the leaves, obviously, if you use a bigger brush. So this is not only for tiny little leafy branches, this also works for larger leaves. Doing the same thing, adding just that little bit of aqua sky on the bottom of those leaves just for a little hint of color. It just brings a beautiful coolness, makes those leaves not so boring. And if the plantation pine is too solid or heavy, it's going to break it up just a little bit. But I love the effect that gives it a little bit of a turquoise color. Now I'm pulling the celery shoot little center veins up into the leaves. On the other one, I just highlighted the top. These leaves are a little bit wider, so there's room to go in and add this center vein. Anytime you add little veins, it just adds so much detail that it always looks amazing, even though it's not taking more than just a simple stroke. What a difference that little bit of paint will make. I think these leaves are absolutely beautiful. I'm going in now and just adding that touch of celery shoot on the top edge of the leaves. This is a good time too if the leaves are a little bit misshapen or just need to find a little bit more. Adding this in there will do double duty. This creates such a beautiful branch so very quick. Look how elegant and graceful that branch is. These are some of my designs that I've used this particular oval-shaped pointed leaf on, and look how elegant that really adds so much whimsy, and it's filling but it's not overwhelming. It's just a delightful little touch. For the third style of branches, I'm just painting my center vein, loading my brush the same way that I loaded for the prior leaves, but instead of pressing down and pulling out, I'm just staying on the point, touching the edge of the leaf, pressing down, and then lifting up and pulling that out to a point. Touch, press down, and pull up. That way it becomes more of a football almond shaped leaf. Still maintains that variegated ombre mix of the dark to the light green. You might need to slow down just a bit until you get the hang of this style of leaf. Takes just a little more control. Touch, press, and lift. Again, the pressure is integral on the size of the leaf. So just maintain that steady pressure and the leaves will come out beautifully. Loaded my Epic script liner with plantation pine, pulling up those veins into the leaves, keeping that nice curve on the leaves. I did spread these out just a little bit further. You can tuck them in closer. It just depends on placement and where these leaves are, how they're going to be used. Went in with celery shoot to define that center vein. Now they're starting to create a little more dimension and a little more interest. These leaf branches can be any size. Going in, adding that top highlight of celery shoot, and on a darker background, this really pops and makes those leaves stand out just beautifully. Again, it's just a little touch and a pull, just that little sparkle of highlight on the top of those leaves or wherever the light source is coming from. Just brightens it up, adding that hint of aqua sky. And this again is an option, but I do think that it brings that extra unexpected little pop of color that adds that wow factor. And that's my motto, a little bit of paint makes a big difference. And I think in this instance, it's just amazing. And you can see just a tiny little spot of aqua sky. These are some of my designs that I've used these football almond shaped petal leaves on, and I think they're just absolutely darling. I promised a bonus here at the end of the video, and this is where I'm going to add a drop shadow. Now I've thinned down my raw umber very, very thin. A shadow is transparent. And I'm loading my number 5 radical round with this very thin raw umber, and I'm just creating the replication of the leaves below and to the left. So it's going to look just like a very soft shadow. This creates so much drama. It's very easy to do, but it has to be thin, almost like a watercolor. And make sure to mimic those. They don't have to be identical, just the look of a shadow below. But look how that lifts that off of the background. It's amazing what a difference this will create. These are some of the designs that I showed you that have that little drop shadow below them. What a huge difference. I think if you try this, you're going to be totally amazed at the results, and everybody will say, wow. It's not a significant, big, huge difference. It's not noticeable. It just creates that impact that makes it all work well and pulls it all together. And that's a wrap on the 3 different styles of leafy branches, plus the bonus drop shadow technique. Hope you picked up some fun tips to make your branches really pop. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, hit the bell. Try it out and tag me. I'd love to see what you create. Thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to our next painting adventure together.